That's it. Good evening to you all. Yes, I'm doing that. My chaplain is Imam Ashad tonight. So say a few reciting Quran.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings be upon all of you here in this gathering today. In thanks and appreciation for allowing me to come here today, bro. I will recite one verse of the Holy Quran and then I will translate and then I'll finish on this. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. صدق الله العظيم. Translation is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, God Almighty is telling us and speaking to all of us. He says, O people, we have certainly created you from a single male and female, and made you into various families, nations, and tribes, so that you may recognize each other. Verily, the most honored amongst you in God's sight is the one with the most cautiousness in his behavior. Now, we all know we are all sitting here today, and we all know that none of us are better than the other. According to race, according to our nation, we are all equal. And these are God's words. The reason behind the diversity that we see in front of ourselves is so that we can understand each other's customs and appreciate the diversity of culture around the world. Respect one another and also love one another as well. Now, what we see in front of us today is a room full of leaders, and we have reached this stage in our lives through our careers, through hard work, and through our own intelligence. God has given all of us a huge amount of intelligence, and after every single person that has this intelligence, there'll always be a God that gives intelligence to everybody. We all have responsibilities, so we ask Almighty Allah, Almighty God, to bless this gathering, to bless all of our leaders, to bless the decisions that have been made here today, and with our responsibility, with our authority, with our power to make the correct decisions in this hall and in the future as well. We also ask our Creator to guide us all, grant us peace in our time of difficulty, especially in this pandemic where we're in a lot of difficulties. We ask our Almighty to take away this pandemic, take away these difficulties, and make us stronger and united together. We also ask our Creator to inspire us to be of benefit to our communities and to be just at all levels. Again, thank you for the opportunity. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be among you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair. As you all know, tonight is election of a mayor for the municipal year 2021-2022. Just a few items of housekeeping. All meeting participants to keep their masks on other than when they are speaking. Once they have finished speaking, masks must be replaced. Tonight's meeting will be broadcast live on YouTube, and there will be photographers present. The first item of the agenda is the election of the mayor for the municipal year 2021-22. Mistake here. So may I call Councillor Peter Mason to propose the mayor.
It's with great pleasure that I rise to propose that Councillor Munir Ahmed be the Mayor of Ealing for the municipal year of 2021 to 2022. In Ealing, we normally ask our prospective mayors to play a supporting role as deputy for just a year. But due to the extraordinary times that we've been living through, we've had to ask Councillor Ahmed to play that role for 2 years, which he has done with good humour, patience and commitment. Despite the difficulties of the past 24 months, he's thrown himself into the role of Deputy Mayor wholeheartedly, supporting the Mayor Gallade through the challenging time and demonstrating clearly why he is the perfect choice to be the next first citizen of this borough. Before I speak more about Councillor Ahmed, I should say that as we pay tribute to the work of Councillor Gallade during this mayoralty, we also give our thanks to the work of the officers who have helped to keep the Mayor's office running throughout the pandemic, and particularly to Ayaz and to Cheryl. As many of you know, Cheryl is recovering from a very serious brush with COVID, and I know that the whole council will join me in sending her our best wishes. Munir Ahmed's story is a story of many of Ealing's residents, of hard work, entrepreneurship, and commitment to our community. Originally from Gujarat in the Punjab region of Pakistan, Councillor Ahmed arrived in Ealing by way of an MBA in France, with very little to his name. Here he started from scratch, eventually with his brother, becoming the great nut baron of Perivale, establishing the renowned and highly successful Saki Snacks. Munir put down his roots in this borough, but particularly in Perivale, quickly demonstrating his great commitment to the community, including a remarkable 15 years as chair of the governors of Vickers Green Primary School. Having sought election on 2 previous occasions, one of which I was his agent, he was elected to the council for his hometown of Perivale in 2014, where he's proven himself an assiduous and proud champion of his community. Munir may be enjoying his retirement from business, but his commitment to the community is as strong as ever, and also to his family. And I know just how proud his wife Fakhira and his 3 daughters and 2 sons will be to see him become the mayor this evening. We all know that the year ahead will be tough as we recover from the pandemic, but I think that Councillor Ahmed, the council and the borough have much to look forward to from his mayoralty. He will bring to this role his unique humility and his unfailing politeness. He will be a mayor with real passion for serving the communities of our borough, recognising the community spirit, generosity that Ealing through this crisis has had, and with great ambitions for raising funds for his chosen charities. As a man of faith, he will, I know, be a great ambassador to a huge range of faith groups and communities who've played such a vital role in supporting the borough's residents, both practically and spiritually, throughout this pandemic. He has a keen interest in theology, as do I, and as fellow people of the book, I look forward to continuing our conversations of comparative religion and maybe a bit of text study too, perhaps soon enough if he'll indulge me in the Mayor's parlour over a banana and date smoothie, which I expect, Mr. Mayor, will become a feature of the Mayor's drinks cabinet going forward. Munir is a man who loves to travel, to Morocco I know in particular and elsewhere, and let's hope that when the borders slowly reopen, he gets the opportunity as Mayor to travel beyond the confines of the borough and the city, but Munir, not too far, we need you here. As one of the council's resident fluent French speakers, he's already forged close ties with our twin town colleagues at Marc-en-Barœul, and no one will be better placed than him to reforge those cross-channel ties post-Brexit. But one thing I'm particularly looking forward to is to seeing how Munir's reputation as one of the council's great gourmets is reflected in the years ahead. As restaurants reopen, I'm sure he'll have plenty of opportunities to bestow mayoral patronage on many of our borough's fine eating establishments, and this will be gratefully received, I'm sure, by our hospitality sector. Councillor Ahmed is a worthy choice to be the first citizen of our borough. He loves Perivale, he loves Ealing, has built a business and a family here, and is a champion and servant of his community, and I'm proud to nominate him as mayor.
Thanks, Peter. May I call Councillor Tariq Mahmood, seconder, speak for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors and officers. It is both an absolute delight and a very great honour for me to second the nomination of my good friend and fellow ward councillor Munir Ahmed for the passion of mayor for the position of mayor of Ealing for the mayoral year 21-22. You have heard of Councillor Ahmed's achievements as a councillor, and we are all aware of dignified way in which he has undertaken the duties of deputy mayor and as far as he is humanly possible during the past pandemic year. I would like to say something about Councillor Ahmed from the Perivale perspective and to stress how he is a councillor of the whole ward and not just for those who vote for him, Councillor Sharma and myself. Munir is a self-made man who has built a successful business from the ground up and has a natural instinct to identify, help, and support people who are struggling. This is one of the many reasons why he is such a well-suited candidate for become a first citizen of Ealing. Munir doesn't only live in the heart of the ward, he is in many ways the heart of the ward. Anyone who sees him judging the Christmas card competition, Christmas house decoration, or many of his school activities at his beloved Vickers Green School will see a man who gives his all to the community and draws strength from it as all. A proud family man, a man of deep and profound faith, Munir has been a wonderful colleague to Councillor Charan Sharma and to myself. We in Perivale are happily to lend him to the wider borough for the next 12 months, but we know that he will never forget the home ward of Perivale, and I can assure the council that Perivale will never forget him. The post-pandemic mayoral year will be difficult, and there is much work to be done to catch up with. Munir and his family may have a hard time ahead of them, but it is a challenge that I know they can do that. I offer my wholehearted support of Munir's family and know that I speak for the whole council is doing so. Mr. Mayor, officers, colleague, and councillor, I would like to second the nomination of Councillor Munir Ahmed, a man of dignity, a man of Perivale, a man, above all, a man of many people. And I know that he will be truly a great mayor in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Mahmood. May I call Councillor Stafford to say a few words?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Let me just take off my mask. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I rise to support the motion that Councillor Munir Ahmed is elected as Mayor for the forthcoming year. But before I talk about Councillor Ahmed, I just wanted to say welcome to our three new councillors. Councillor Brett, looking forward to be back out in Hobain very soon again. I'm sure you are too. Councillor Julian Gallant, a very old friend of mine, and who's done great work on the Acton charities. And Councillor Conti, who welcome back to you. Councillor Conti was my election agent for the GLA, so I did drag him away from Hanger Hill a lot, and so I'm sure he's going to be glad to be back in Hanger Hill working for residents. And finally to you, Councillor Goulet, you have been a fantastic mayor over the last 2 years. Who'd have thought you'd have to do it? I think you're glad that you don't have to do it for a third year running, but you will be missed, and I hope that you'll continue to, and I'm sure you will continue to work across the borough for all those important charities that you put forward. Moving on to Councillor Ahmed, I first met him in 2007 during the Cleveland ward by-election when I was first elected. Councillor Ahmed was the Labour opponent, and in those days, you wouldn't imagine it now, but it was a straight Conservative Lib Dem fight. So Councillor Munir Ahmed didn't have the level of pressure that perhaps I did and my Lib Dem opponent. But nevertheless, He approached that election seriously, but with a sense of fun, camaraderie, and I would say a great generosity. He was one of the first people to come up to me and congratulate me when I was elected. And it's stuck with me over the years, both when I didn't see him because he wasn't a councillor, and since he's been elected in 2014, that he's a man of great dignity. Clearly also, as we've heard this evening, he's a businessman, an entrepreneur, something that we vitally need, the expertise that we vitally need in this council. He's a true Perry Vale man, as we've heard, and his work in the community, and especially at Vickers Green Primary School, is something that residents mention to me on almost a weekly occasion when I speak to them about Perry Vale. It is going to be an interesting year, both in the sense that we're going to have to keep recovering from the COVID pandemic, and that will bring challenges both to this council, but also to the mayoralty. But also, I always think that the year before a local election is probably the most interesting year, I put interesting in inverted commas, for a mayor. I think in the previous years, you might not know it, or might not feel it, or might not hear it, but generally, we as councillors on both sides of the chamber get on relatively well. That seems to intensify into a peak in the run-up to the election. But I know, given the fact that Councillor Ahmed chaired the last meeting of the full council with such aplomb, that whatever we throw at him from either sides will not faze him at all. He will be a superb mayor for this borough. Listening to Councillor Mason just go through some of the things that Councillor Ahmed, which we associate with Councillor Ahmed, I thought actually he's very, very different from me. First of all, he's willing to sit and be impartial up there, which I would never be able to do. Second of all, he likes bananas, which are pretty much the most disgusting fruit in the world. And finally, he speaks fluent French. Well, je ne comprends pas, but what I do know is that he'll be a superb mayor, and I'm very happy to support his nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stafford. May I call Councillor Board to say a few words about the nomination?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and welcome back to the Town Hall after the extraordinary events that we've all witnessed since we were last here. When Munir was elected in 2014, he first came to my notice as being one of the friendliest of the new intake. He's certainly a people person who would warmly greet me each time our paths crossed. Like a number of our other past mayors, Munir arrived in Ealing without much money. He's very much a self-made businessman. Munir has a gifted academic background and is a businessman with local business interests. He's always keen to personally promote business in the borough and our faith communities, and I'm sure that he will devote his considerable business acumen to the charity fundraising for his charities over the coming year. Hugely committed to education, Munir has been chair of the Vickers Green Primary School governing body, I believe for over 10 years, further showing his dedication. As Councillor Mason previously mentioned, Munir can speak French, which will come in extremely useful for engagements with our opposite numbers from Markham Borough during his year of office. And he's proved himself adept with technology during our online meetings. So Munir has the skills that we need to lead the civic life of our borough during our recovery from the pandemic, and also to keep us in line as we get more fractious in the run-up to the local elections. So in conclusion, Mr. Mayor, while you will of course be a very tough act to follow, Councillor Ahmed has served with distinction in the difficult circumstances of over a year of online meetings as the longest ever serving deputy mayor of the borough, which I am sure we all agree will stand him in good stead for his year ahead as our first citizen. I beg to support his nomination.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Are there any nominations, other nominations? It has been moved and seconded that Councillor Munir Ahmed be elected mayor of the municipal year 2021-2022. Agreed? I declare that Councillor Munir Ahmed is duly elected mayor for the municipal year 2021-2022.
The chains are now being swapped over, and Councillor Ahmed will be wearing the chain of the London Borough of Ealing once he returns to his seat.
Councillors, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the reading of the declaration of acceptance of office for the new mayor. Do you, Councillor Munir Ahmed, having been elected to the office of mayor for the borough, declare that you take the said office upon yourself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties thereof according to the best of your judgments and ability?
I do.
The new mayor will now sign the declaration of office.
Councillors, chief officers, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding to welcome the worshipful mayor of Ealing, Councillor Munir Ahmed.
Before you take the seats, I would like to announce my mayoress, Mrs. Fakhra Ahmed and Miss Alvina Ahmed.
The mayor's attendant is now placing the mayoress's chain onto the new mayoress.
Please be seated. I would like to start by sending my sympathies and condolences to all those who have lost their loved ones over the past year, including my condolences to Her Majesty the Queen and the royal family on the sad demise of His Royal Highness Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, on behalf of myself, my family, and the London Borough of Ealing. Councillors, officers, and guests, it is a huge privilege and honor for me and my family to be chosen at this highest position in our great borough of Ealing. I have no words to express my feelings at this happiest moment of my life. I have never experienced this feeling before, and for that, I'm most grateful to those who made this happen. I would like to formally thank Councillor Mason for proposing, Councillor Mahmood for seconding, Councillor Stafford Gregory for your kind words, and Councillor Bowles for your appreciation. I have lived in the borough for almost 3 decades. I studied here, worked here, raised my family here, and my children went to local schools, and I take pride in being a part of this beautifully diverse Ealing community. I graduated from the University of West London in business studies and managed to use my skills and knowledge to set up my business, and it has been successfully running for 3 decades. When I got elected in 2014, I decided to pass on my business to my son because I decided that it was fair that I dedicate all my time to the people who elected me. And today I feel that I made the right choice. It was the right decision because today I can see that if you give your time to your residents, to your people who have voted for you, they one day put a crown on your head. And today, a young man who rented a flat on Greenford Road in 1993 has become first citizen of the borough. What an amazing journey. What a great country we are in. This is the only possible here. You serve the people, and in return, they reward you. What a system. You are always rewarded for your work. When I moved to Perivale in 1995, I had no idea if there was good or bad schools. My only criteria in choosing school was the distance from my home so that my wife could walk them to school. And all my children ended up going to Perivale Primary School. All I did was making sure that they never miss the school, they do their homework, and I attended their parents' evenings. And then they went to London's best universities. They became businessmen, doctors, and accountants. Last month, one of my daughters completed her MBBS from Imperial College, and now she is joining Hillingdon Hospital. And this makes me so proud that I'm making my contribution to our NHS at time when it's needed most. The reason I'm talking about my children and their education is because many young parents come to me for advice on choosing a school. All I would say is that this country has got one of the best education system, and if your children can become whatever they want, no matter which school they go to, our system is so robust that you cannot fail if you follow it. Councillors, before I end my speech, I would like to thank my wife for her unwavering support. I also want to thank my children for making sensible decisions and making me proud by going into professions where they have full potential and opportunity to serve this country. I want to thank all the residents of Perivale who elected me and put me in this position. I thank my ward colleagues, Councillor Charan Sharma and Councillor Tariq Mahmood, for their support and encouragement. And I want to thank each and every member of this council as they are doing a wonderful job and making a huge contribution to Ealing. Last but not least, I'm so grateful, and I want to thank Chief Executive of this council and the legal advisor, Helen Harris, for giving me a support and advice when I needed. And I would ask them to continue in the same way. And I thank them for being so generous to the residents of Ealing, which I'm also one of them. I also thank Sam Bailey for your support, and I expect to get the same support over the next 12 months. Ayaz, Cheryl is not here, and I would like to send my best wishes to Cheryl as well, and hopefully she'll be joining us soon. Thank you. Okay. Okay, now I think Councillor Bell need to move the vote of thanks to the retiring mayor and mayoress, Councillor Abdullah Gulaid and the retiring mayoress. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and can I be the first to congratulate you on being elected as our first citizen of the borough. And it's also my pleasure and privilege to move the vote of thanks for Councillor Dr. Abdullah Gulaid and his mayoress for their sterling work during 2 years of service. In all respects, it has been a record-breaking mayorship. Now, I've not trawled through the mayoral history to find out if anyone previously has served continuously for 2 years. However, I know a man who has, and he's sitting behind me somewhere, Mr. Philip Portwood, former councillor of this borough, and there he is. Thank you, Phil. And Phil has assured me that 2 years of continuous service as mayor of the London Borough of Ealing has never, ever been done. He does, however, tell me that there were mayoralties for 2 years in the old borough of Acton and Southall, for those of you who wish to answer that quiz question when it comes up. But for all the reasons that we know because of coronavirus, you have steadfastly served the people of this borough for those 2 years, Mr. Mayor. So our thanks to you. And can I associate myself with the remarks of Councillor Mason about the mayoral office and the support that they have given in those 2 years too, and also particularly send my best wishes to Cheryl, who we know had such a tough time with a severe bout of COVID. Now, I'll speak in a moment about the coronavirus pandemic that led to your extended stay as our mayor, but first I wanted to say something about your mayoralty prior to COVID, when things were more normal. The first thing that stood out was that you became our first ever mayor of African origin and Somali descent. You instantly became a symbol of our wonderful diversity as a borough, as you served with distinction as our first citizen of the borough. You also became an even bigger role model for our young people of Black and minority ethnic origin, and your considerable professional and educational achievements, Councillor Gulaid, were added to with this great historic civic office of distinction. Your choice of charity, Descendants, who so ably support children of Afro-Caribbean descent to achieve in all areas of life, but particularly in education, was an inspired choice. The subsequent sad events around the shocking murder of George Floyd in the US and the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement have shown what a brilliant choice you made in choosing descendants. And I know that they are particularly grateful for your continuing stalwart support. Let me move on and now say a few words about COVID. You had the challenge of chairing council meetings virtually. And yes, we did occasionally, if you don't mind me saying, get a look at your curtains, as the camera wasn't always in the right place. But you quickly grasped the challenge of being able to chair that complicated and difficult meeting virtually, and did a fantastic job. And I have to say, your ability to pick up that skill was impressive. Can I also thank you, Councillor Glade, for the fantastic example that you set in being one of the first to get your vaccination and being willing to have that filmed and spread across the borough to encourage others to overcome any vaccine hesitancy. Can I also thank you for the work that you did both professionally through your business and looking for tests and ways of fighting the pandemic, but also in your efforts to organise and speak at London-wide webinars to address vaccine hesitancy, particularly amongst the Somali community. And that was right across London. So a huge thank you to you for all of those things that you've done during the pandemic. Finally, in conclusion, Mr. Mayor, I think we can all agree and say that Councillor Gulade has been a fantastic mayor. It spread across those 2 years, the first year of normality, where he did all of those events and helped raise funds for descendants, and then smoothly moved into that year of fighting the pandemic. So a huge thank you and an honour. You will be, I think, probably the only mayor to ever have done 2 years service to this borough. So congratulations, Councillor Gulade.
I rise to second the vote of thanks to Abdullah Gulade. I didn't ask Councillor Bell what he was going to say, so mine will be a lot shorter because I don't want to repeat things. Can I start, because I'm going to thank and welcome all the new councillors. I know what hard work it is, especially in a by-election, so welcome to our new councillors. I only know Julian Gallant, and I think he deserves it. He's tried so many times, and I know he'll be a good councillor, and I'm sure the new councillor for Hobbain will be excellent as well. And that's not forgetting you, Councillor Conti, because I know you were very conscientious last time. So welcome, and welcome to our new mayor, who 2 years waiting, my goodness, that is a bit too much for anybody. But Abdullah, you've been marvellous. I've known you for so many years. He's a chemist, he's a local person. He's been so good in the community. The Somali community know him. We've worked together at surgeries. He's come to meetings with me. He's translated for me. We sat in a small room in a building called Ruskin Hall, and we've explained to people why things are difficult. We've read their letters for them, and I really appreciate that. And I'll be glad when we go back to normal, he can come and help me again. So I am grateful for all that work. I know the descendants group in Acton are also grateful for all the fundraising he did on their behalf. And that was a very good thing to do, just choose one, because in the past, mayors sometimes perhaps have too many charities. So I think that was an excellent idea. I'll stop soon and just say, I'll be glad to have him back as a colleague, and I wish him, I'm welcoming him back. And I wish the new mayor and the new deputy mayor all the best, and all the new councillors. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Kumar, would you like to say something?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the honor to second Councillor Gulaid in 2019, and I'm delighted that I did so. Since being elected mayor, Councillor Abdullah Gulaid has served the community of our borough with distinction. His usual warmth and understanding and fairness, I must say, during council meetings. Due to the pandemic, his mayoralty was extended in 2020 for another year. He rose to this challenge during unprecedented times, and I know his background in science and medicine would have given him a better understanding of the challenging circumstances. I hope the funds raised for his chosen charity Descendants will help them to continue their excellent work helping young people to learn, thrive, and be confident. On behalf of my Conservative group, I thank Councillor Gulaid for proudly serving the London Borough of Ealing and wish him good health and prosperity always. And my congratulations to you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Ahmed, on being elected the new mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kumar. Councillor Malcolm, would you like to say something?
Let me first of all thank our first person, Councillor Ahmed, who takes up his role today. He's been waiting 2 years, and it must be a joy to be there after waiting for 2 years. But I'm very happy to thank Councillor Gulaid for his time as mayor over the past 24 months. Before he became the mayor, I think we all know he was very academically gifted. He runs a business in Ealing. He didn't really need to be either a councillor or the mayor, but with gusto, he put himself forward for those roles and has done and served his community really well across the whole borough, but particularly Acton, where he's a councillor. I think others have mentioned about the strange second year that we've had, and many people have suffered in this last year. But I think he has come up to the mark when it comes to dealing with IT issues with almost no notice. And many of the meetings, actually, we may prefer some meetings to be virtual. And I think a lot of the learnings we've done over the past year, we can move forwards in the future. And I think a lot of that has got to go down to Councillor Gulaid. I think a couple of months ago, there was a time when I know, Councillor Gulaid, you were vaccinated, and then I was picked on the list, if you will, and I was vaccinated. And I did recall that it was my duty as a councillor to promote the vaccination and the benefits of it, as you did, and also Councillor Bell. I think both of you, in different ways, used your roles to promote the idea of vaccination and how you need to do that to help your community and their friends and family. And I think you both did that really well. And I think, Councillor Bell, you mentioned about the Descendants in Acton. So I know a lot of the good stuff they've done, and I hope, given what's happened in the last year, it might be nice in a few years' time, if there's another mayor from Acton, that they might wish to consider Descendants as well, just to help them do a lot of the good work that they've done. So I'll end there and just say, on behalf of the Lib Dem group, thank you for the 2 years of hard work that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that a vote of thanks should be recorded to Councillor Gulaid. Is that agreed? Thank you. Councillor Gulaid, would you like to give a speech? You've got 5 minutes if you...
Can you hear me now? Okay. So complicated, this one. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, actually, for your support all along. If I look back more than 50 years ago, when I was in Somalia, I thought, yes, because I went to an English school in Somalia, my ambition was to come to the UK to do a degree for 5 years and then go back. They can't hear me, okay, they say they can hear me. When I came here, I went to Bristol to do my A levels, and I went to do law. A friend and a cousin of mine in the United States said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing law." And I said, "And then go back home." And I said, "You must be joking. It's a jungle law, there is no law in Africa. So you have to keep and do something different." So I went 180 degrees direction, and I started to do a science degree at Queen College. Then I said, what to do next, actually, yeah. And then you have to do, once you go science, you have to do either PhD or you have to do some sort of practical management. I went to King's, and then I went to Imperial, and I said, well, look, that's enough. Working is not enough really. So I remember 2001, I was in the Ruskin Hall, and then Julian was there at that time, and Kalapsoli. And he said, "Abdul, what are you going to do? Why don't you join the Labour Party?" And I said, well, I'm not really a politician, so what am I doing next then? Then you will be, a councillor, and then you will be an MP. I said, not really, But then I joined the Labour Party, and I never thought I would be actually a councillor, to be honest with you, because scientists, very rarely actually try to do politics. When I was elected, no, I wasn't elected actually. I was nominated in 2006 for a seat, and I got about 600 to 800 votes, short of nearly 600. And I said, keep trying. 2010, I was elected. 14, 18. The major problem I actually saw was, there is less inclusion. And when we say that we are different in terms of the people who actually live in Ealing or in the UK are diverse, and there's equal opportunities. There is none, actually. There is no equal opportunity. What I saw, a lot of people saying that, a lot of black people, you don't see them, those who are not seen, but if you look for them, you see them really. And I had some people from descendants, young, bright kids, but there was no role model. And I don't want to be a role model, but inspirational. They think because in Africa or Caribbean, you can see a black prime minister, a black minister, a black lawyer, a black doctor. But then here when you're in Brixton, you hardly see them. You see the police. So I said, what can you do? You at least join that group. So in 1993, I joined them to make sure actually, they just come out of where they're not being seen and come to where they will be seen, definitely. Now we have got some graduates from Oxford University, Cambridge University, doctors, lawyers, So it doesn't take actually, a whisk person actually, or clever people to actually see what they need. The amount of money spent on security, police is phenomenal. And that's all this knife against black on black knives. If a fraction of that money was spent on them, they would have made contribution to the country. They would have better life, really. So my aim became just to be part of the descendants, really, and get it. So when it came to when it became to charity, I nominated the descendants. And so far, we're doing very well, really. They got the Queen's Award. They're doing well in education. And hopefully, there will be more than one black person here. I don't like when they say, the first black African person. We need more, more than one. So I phoned actually the Labour Party this morning, and I said, how many months do you have to be a candidate in the election? He said, 12 months. They can't make it then. So I'll be the only one historically who has been here. So it's something other, and I joined them, to be honest with you. I say, join any party you need. You don't have to be Labour or Tory or whatever. And then be participant in the political issues, really. You have to be part of it and not just being dictated and told who you are. Whenever I see this ethnic minority term that keep changing, is black, is colored, is now BAMI. I think BAMI, they say black, Asian, something. So why should we actually classify people in those sort of categories? They're all equal. So they will have equal opportunities. So basically, also Ealing is one of the best parts to actually live, to be honest with you. I used to live in East London, Queen College, and I moved to Ealing 2082. 1982. This is the best borough, really. That you can live. It's in harmony. People live together, and it's really fantastic. Also in the council, fantastic. I remember, whenever the first meeting I was in the college, you can see the fight between the Labour and the Lib Dem and the Victoria. I said, well, good God. And then they come down for the drink. They're all friends. And I said, this is just a joke, I thought they will be fighting, actually, So I don't want to take your time. It's the wrong time. Hopefully you will support Councillor Ahmed, who is also really very dedicated person. He supported me all along.
Can you wind it up, please?
Yes, indeed. 3 minutes, 30 seconds left. And he was really very supportive, really. So I wish you all the best, and we will work with you definitely. Thank you very much. All those actually councillors who helped me in terms of citizen celebration always. And thank you very much for coming tonight. This is my chain,
The retiring mayor has just been presented with his past mayor's badge, and flowers will now be presented to his consorts.
Done? Yeah, yes, done. I have pleasure in announcing that I have appointed Councillor Mida to be the deputy mayor for municipal year 21-22. Councillor Mida. Councillor Mida, can you come to the stage, please?
The deputy mayor is now just signing the declaration of acceptance of office.
The deputy mayor's consort will be Mr. Harbans Mida. Okay, we move on to the meeting now. Item number 3 on the agenda, apologies for absence. Sam?
Yeah, so agreement has been reached between the whips for reduced attendance by all political groups tonight in order to reduce the risk of the spread of COVID. So therefore, apologies for absence have been received by councillors D. Crawford, K. Crawford, Rooney, Anjum, Burke, Luswardi, Darmy, Deer, Dabrowska, Taylor, Byrne, Camadou Rothwell, Gordon, Cordier, Murta, Woodruff, Sumner, Mohan, Pada, Sahota, Block, Driscoll, Rice, Summers, Aslam, G-Man, Arman, Sharma, Chauhan, Dabwell, Dinter, Basutil, Steed and Conlon.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I think Councillor Woodruff's here actually, so I think you don't need to send his apologies.
Yeah, if you can rectify that, Sam.
Thank you, that's noted.
Thank you, Paul. Declaration of interest. Is there any declaration of interest to be noted? No? Good. Okay, due to the circumstances, as we've got change of leadership, I have agreed to take item 8 and 9 first. And item 8 is election of the leader. And Councillor Shaw is going to propose.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I now propose Councillor Peter Mason as the leader of Ealing Council.
Councillor Costigan, are you going to second it?
Mr. Mayor, I second the election of Councillor Mason as leader of Ealing Council.
Council, is that agreed? Right. Okay, in that case, Councillor Mason is therefore duly elected as executive leader of the London Borough of Ealing until the next year annual meeting of the council. Councillor Mason, do you want to move the vote of thanks to Councillor Bell?
Mr. Mayor, it's with great sense of duty and honour that I rise to offer a vote of thanks as the new leader of the council. In the coming days, I'll set out the administration's priorities, but today is a day for civics and civility. To celebrate your elevation, Mr. Mayor, as the first citizen of our borough, and also to offer thanks. Over the last 11 years, Councillor Bell has led this borough with dedication and commitment through the good times and the bad. The pandemic these past 14 months has been perhaps the biggest crisis our country and our council has faced, and Councillor Bell throughout has offered a calm and steady hand, ensuring that our care homes had personal protective equipment, that our businesses were supported, and in getting the government to keep its promises to us to pay what it owed. None of the past decade either has been an easy time to lead a London council. A decade of austerity, of Brexit, a seemingly never-ending number of broken markets that the government have refused to fix. Conditions that, he often expresses, create the kind of tidal wave of human misery inflicted on too many of his residents who sought out his help. Councillor Bell has led us through all of those challenges and more, defending residents and protecting the vital services they rely on. Ealing has been a national pioneer during his leadership, improving the lives of the most vulnerable residents through better lives and brighter futures. Being the first to deliver the PSPO to protect women using the Mattock Lane Clinic. Providing a welcoming home to child refugees from Calais and elsewhere. Delivering genuinely affordable homes, bringing our waste contract and all the way back in 2010, our Almo back in-house. And also saving our A&E at Ealing Hospital. There is much of Councillor Bell's work that my administration will seek to build on, not least on tackling the climate crisis, a topic which we all know he feels so passionate about. Rightly, he set us an ambitious target, a challenge, a path to net zero by 2030, a target we will make every effort and strain every sinew to meet. Councillor Bell will challenge us in a comradely spirit, I am sure, to go further and faster, and I know he will. Mr. Mayor, Councillor Bell has given this borough great service as leader. His commitment to social justice, tackling poverty, and building a more sustainable borough have been the hallmarks of his time in office, his compassionate socialism writ large. Now, not everybody in this chamber will agree with every policy he enacted. But I don't think anybody can doubt his commitment to and love of this borough. And I know that he will continue to show great dedication and serve it and our city now and in the future. Mr. Mayor, I move that this council applauds and thanks Councillor Gillian Bell.
Councillor Costigan, you want to second it?
Mr. Mayor, I second the vote of thanks to Councillor Bell.
Okay. Is that agreed by the, yeah, okay, thank you, agreed. Now we've got item 9 on the agenda, and again, this is due to the circumstances, we are moving it up. An urgent update to this report was published this morning that corrected the names of the cabinet members. The urgent update can be found on the website, and a copy of the updated report is available for all members and the public in hard copy in this room. Councillor Mason, again, you want to move?
Mr. Mayor, I move agenda item number 9.
Councillor Shaw, you want to second it?
I second, Mr. Mayor.
Now, I want to see, yes, Councillor Stafford, you want to speak?
Yes, with your permission, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I apologise for interrupting the civic moments of this, but of course,
4 minutes.
This is our only opportunity to raise this. With a change of leadership could have come an announcement on change of policy. We could have had an announcement tonight about keeping Acton Recycling Centre open. We could have had an announcement about proper air quality monitoring at the Southall Gasworks. We could have had an announcement about the future of Gurnell Swimming Pool. We could have had an announcement that said we were going to pause the Monster Tower on the Percival House site. And we could have had an announcement, perhaps the greatest gift of all that could have been announced tonight, that we were going to see the scrapping of the low traffic neighbourhoods, which was so detested in this borough. But instead of that, the first policy that this administration brings is more special responsibility allowances for cabinet members. 2 new cabinet members, plus more money for the Vice Chairman of the Equalities Commission, which will cost at least £35,000, and that's not including all the other on-costs, for example, national insurance contributions. And we've stood in this chamber or in this building previously, and we've been told by Councillor Mahfouz, who when he was finance, he's now good, I think he's, what is it, good, decent living incomes, which I don't think is finance anymore, that any penny that we did not spend on the vulnerable was money wasted, and we were going to attack the vulnerable if, for example, we kept Acton Dump open. But suddenly money has been found this evening to pay more cabinet members money. So we need to know from the administration, where is this money coming from? It just says it's going to come from council funds. Well, yesterday we didn't have enough funds. Today we suddenly have £35,000+ to pay extra cabinet members. We need to know where that money is coming from and what services, as Councillor Mahfouz was constantly telling us, are going to be scrapped in order to pay for it. But the second point as well is this. Look at the titles that these cabinet members have. A cabinet member, this is Councillor Nagpal, a cabinet member for a fairer start. I mean, what is that? I think it's education reading it, but why is it not called education? And the people who are concerned about LTNs, do they go to the cabinet member for climate action? Do they go to the cabinet member for thriving communities, healthy lives? This is like something out of a cross between 1984 and that BBC sitcom W1A. It's a nonsense. Residents need to know who they're going to speak to. It's double speak, it's groupthink to hide the fact that 2 extra councillors are getting extra money. Now, we've had 11 years where patronage has ruled and people have been kept in their positions because of patronage. We don't want to see that again. So we're giving the administration the opportunity this evening to reconsider this, to remove those extra cabinet posts and to vote against this motion, as we will be doing so from the Conservative benches. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Mason, you can
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, as the opposition well know, this is a day of civics civility, and if he would like announcements, I can tell him that there'll be a substantial number in the coming days and weeks. Mr. Mayor, I'm building an open, inclusive and transparent borough that focuses on the change that we want to achieve for this borough and not simply on the services that we deliver. And I've built the most diverse cabinet in the context of gender, race, age, sexuality, faith and geography. It represents our borough. And we are equally going to ensure that the important work of the Ealing Race Equality Commission has the continuity and the impact that it needs to be able to shine a light on the structural inequalities that exist in our borough. Now, in order to achieve this, we need to enable our council to have the political leadership it needs to change our borough for the better. And that is therefore why we are proposing the changes that are set out in the paperwork. These will be met within existing resources, and we will continue to set out as we have started. And I look forward, Councillor Stafford, to returning to a political debate at the next annual meeting. And I move 1411E that the question now be put.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor.
I second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So it's seconded now. I'm going to go to vote now with show of hands. All those in favor of this move, can you show hands? Sam, can you count them? (22), 24. Wait, 24. All those against? 7. 7 against. Any abstentions? No. So 24 in favor and 7 against. So it's carried. 8. Okay, 8 against, 24 in favor. So no abstentions. So it's carried. I'll move back to the agenda item number 6 now. And I have no matters to consider in private. So I move to the next item, my announcements. And at this stage, I would like to congratulate and welcome the new leader of the council, Councillor Peter Mason, his deputy leader, Councillor Deirdre Costigan, and the new chief whip, Councillor Gareth Shaw, along with their newly appointed cabinet team and the other councillors who have taken the role to head or deputize different committees. My congratulations to you. I also want to thank the outgoing leadership, Councillor Julian Bell, Councillor Ivan Johnson, Councillor Yoel Gordon, and their entire team for the massive contribution they have made in making Ealing better and fairer. They have certainly made their effort and helped the borough. So thanks to those outgoing team. At this stage, I also want to congratulate and welcome 3 new councillors, Councillor Louise Brett, Councillor Julian Gallant, and welcome back to Councillor Fabio Conti. Now, as a new mayor, I have chosen a charity as it's a tradition, and the charity I've chosen is Home Start Ealing. And I am thankful to past Mayor Steve Pound, who has already donated me some valuable items to be auctioned on my next event. So thank you, Steve, for your donations. And I look forward to selling them at very high price when the time comes. Item number 10, Cabinet Portfolio and Opposition Leader and Deputy Leaders appointments. They are just to be noted. Yes, Councillor Mason.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move number 10, but just to clarify that Councillor Costigan will be appointed the statutory deputy leader, and that should be indicated on the addendum to number 10.
Okay, that's noted. Councillor Shaw, you want to move the appointment to the committees and panels?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the appointments to the committees and panels as are listed, and it's been sent round to all councillors now via email. I just note a couple of amendments, please, Mr. Mayor. That Councillor Anjum is chair of one of the scrutiny panels and not vice chair, as she is listed. And also, I would just like to rise that the opposition vice chairs and chair positions be delegated to the chief executive of the council following clarification, as there is a little bit of tidying up needed in this area.
Okay. That's noted. Now, Councillor Milliken, are you going to?
Yes, I'm happy to second that, and I support the recommendation there that we delegate to the chief executive, and then the whips in a normal way will just finalise and tidy up the scrutiny panels as Councillor Shaw has said. Actually, yeah, I think that sounds a good idea, Mr. Mayor. If there may be one or two other little slip-ups that, because this has all come at the last minute, I suggest.
Is that okay, Councillor Shaw?
Yes, I'm happy with that. I'm sure, you know, it's been a busy day for lots of people, so it's worth checking and making sure it's all okay.
Okay. Council, is that agreed? Thank you. Committee meetings after 7th of May. Now, Councillor Mason is going to move that.
So moved.
And Councillor Shaw will second that.
Seconded.
Again, Council, is that agreed? Have I missed anything? This one? Yeah, sorry, item number 12, I missed it, my first day, apologies. Representatives on other bodies. Again, Councillor Shaw and Councillor Milliken will move and second.
Yes, I move the representatives on other bodies, Mr. Mayor.
And Council is happy to agree?
Can I suggest that we make the same recommendation, that if there are any typographical errors that have crept in, they can be amended by the two whips and the chief executive?
Yes, if necessary, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I hope there aren't too many, but there might be the odd one. Yeah.
Is that agreed with that? Yeah. Okay. If that is the case, then we have come to the end of the meeting, and the next meeting will be on 22nd of June. This meeting is now closed, and as tradition, we have no dinner tonight, and there is no refreshments in Mayor Parlour, but I'm more than happy to welcome any councillor who wants to make a time with me and come and join me another time, not today. Thank you so much.